Hello, this is Bradley from awakeningintolife.com. And today I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the nature of love. This is a very important topic from the perspective of spiritual exploration because many spiritual teachers and many spiritual texts talk about love in a variety of ways. Love is this wonderful movement within our social collective consciousness. Love is this thing that we're gravitating towards on a daily basis. Love is this thing that's always expressing itself in a myriad of ways. And yet, we spend far more time in our conditioned notion of love than we do in what love really and truly is. We spend more time observing the desire and control mechanisms or surrendering to the desire and control mechanisms than we do in surrendering to love. Most of us has this sense of lack, this sense of being incomplete and unfulfilled. And because of this, we're constantly looking for something out there that can fill that empty space in here. And whenever we find those moments of reconciliation within ourselves, this makes me feel whole and complete, at least for a moment. This makes me whole and complete. We call that experience love. This is a grand simplification of all the different nuances, but it really does get down to how most of us are living out our love relationships. Our love relationships with people, with places, with things, and with ideas. If we find something out there that helps us feel whole and complete for however long that may last, we fall in love with that. Now, of course, this has nothing to do with love in its true nature. These are simply movements within consciousness exposing the sense of lack and our efforts to fulfill ourselves, and the continuous process of failure. It is in that failure to find love, to find lasting love, and all of the things that come with it, that ultimately invite us to say, perhaps I'm looking in the wrong direction. Perhaps out there isn't where anything useful is to be found. Perhaps the most useful thing there is to turn the eye inward, look inside, and see for yourself. Is there really anything missing? Is there really anything at all that you don't have or that you aren't? It really is a momentous occasion on the spiritual path to have this recognition and this realization that fulfillment is already fully present in you, as you, and always has been. That love itself is the essence of what you are, beyond any notion of what the word may mean in any given context. In fact, the word love is nothing more than a pointer to that which lives beneath it, or rather is the source or the root of love's perfect essence. Love is the field or the manifestation of all that is. I love saying in many of my teachings, or opening up in many of my talks by saying, all things in this universe are love given form to serve a purpose. We ourselves are love given form to serve a purpose, and our purpose is to be love. It's a very simple, very beautiful, and very elegant expression of what's really true. But it is true beyond our notion or our conditioned views of what we think love is. And this is very important to understand. Because as we engage in our lives, we find ourselves in situations where things don't feel so loving. And in those moments, we are really drawn back into that sense of lack and that sense of emptiness, that feeling that there's something missing, that there's something more. So we have to understand love's true nature in a broader context and in a way that is far more inclusive than most of the dialogues that we have about love. So in this conversation, I want to present three qualities of love that get closer, that move further in the direction of love's true nature. And these three qualities are love's cleansing fire, love's compassionate embrace, and love's playful dance. The first of these is often the most difficult one to wrap the mind around, and is the most important reason that I began this conversation and begin most conversations by saying we have to empty our cup of what we believe love is and what we believe love means before we can have a conversation about its true nature. So in this moment, I would ask you to take your concept of love and kind of dump it out just for a few moments. Just for a few moments. Love has absolutely nothing to do with you being happy. Love has absolutely nothing to do with you getting what you want. Love has absolutely nothing to do with manifesting your desires. Love has absolutely nothing to do with being in control of your environment. Love has absolutely nothing to do with people, places, things, or ideas. Love has nothing to do with experiences. Love has nothing to do with anything that the mind can conceive. So let's empty out first our notion of what we think love is. And then let's go into this description of love from these three perspectives, or the view that is inclusive of these three particular dimensions. So the first, love's cleansing fire, is to understand that in order for us to fully recognize love's true nature, we must first be broken of our concepts. Now this sounds harsh, and that's why I said love's cleansing fire is the most difficult thing to wrap the mind around, because we believe in our notion of love. The tendency is there to say love, when it is present, means everything feels good. So if things don't feel good, then there is no love in them. And that is absolutely not true. Love is the ever-present reality of our being. It is always there in absolutely everything. Of course, the mind in its immediate tendency is to reach into a particular situation or a particular example and go, but what about this? You can't say that Hitler was love. People love to bring that up, right? It's the very first thing. Let's reach into the worst that humanity has to offer. Let's reach right into the darkest heart of our entire historical experience, and let's draw from that and use that as an example to demonstrate that we don't really know what love is, but we would much rather be completely devoted to our concept. Love's cleansing fire is there to dissolve the concepts itself in a way that opens you up to these other characteristics or these other aspects of love. Love's cleansing fire is that thing that appears in your life that forces you to look more deeply at yourself and at your own experience. Most people have no interest in doing that, and only do so when forced into it by circumstance. And so, would it not be true then to say that the presentation of these circumstances that force us to penetrate love's very heart are themselves love in expression, serving as an invitation that draws us into our own hearts? It is not for one moment to say that Hitler was a good guy and doing a good job. It is to say we have to look beyond our conditioned view of the individual entity. We have to look beyond our small sense of self and small sense of other. We have to get beyond the judgmental mind's tendency to look at tragedy and see only the tragedy. There is a calling that is only heard through the ear of suffering. And you can have whatever reaction you want to that statement. It doesn't make it any less true. I myself would never harm another being, not on purpose. I wouldn't bring that kind of an intention into any setting or situation in my life. That's the thing that's most important. Not the questions about, well, what about this person? I mean, Hitler was a horrible human being. I mean, if I do this or I do that, or that you're propping that up and you're saying that's okay. No, not at all. If it were up to me, we would all be holding hands singing Kumbaya around a campfire. But see, in the heart of surrender lives this understanding that it is not up to me. All I can do is show up to my life and bring love to each and every moment. That's all that I can do. And in bringing love to each and every moment, there's an abandonment, an abandoning of judgment, of the judgmental mind. There's complete loving acceptance of things as they are. And it doesn't look at a figure like Hitler and say, what a horrible human being and what a terrible tragedy. What it does, it says, I don't understand any of this. But I do know that love is present in all of it. And rather than looking at the center or the core of this particular situation, Hitler himself, one must then look more deeply at all of the things that came out of that set of experiences, which are inclusive of many stories that we still tell today that inspire hope for a new generation and continue to renew that sense of hope for each and every one of us. We have a collective understanding that never again do we want to see such a horrible thing happen. And so we go out of our way to ensure that such a horrible thing, when it does happen, is dealt with in whatever way we can deal with it. We have generations of families who, through loss, began to experience something deeper within themselves. Through surrender, began to come closer to God. Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, is a wonderful example of how love came forward as the fruit of that particular set of circumstances. And it is not the nature of the tree. The tree itself was quite rotten, but the fruit, plucked from its bough, plucked from its branches, I should say, is a very sweet fruit. Love lives in the fruit. Love also lives in the rotten tree. Because that was there, it was needed, it was necessary in order to produce the fruit. Again, it is without a doubt very difficult for us to resolve or rectify these kinds of things within ourselves, to accept that is true. This is why it is so very important for us to understand that love's cleansing fire is often very unpleasant. In conversations that I have with people about the nature of non-duality, I say that most of us are in for a rather rude awakening because we've been so conditioned into the viewpoints that we hold and into the ways that we judge everything around us that when we are confronted with what love really is and what love's true nature is, we're largely unable to touch it. We see only the tragedy. We see only the horror. We see only the evil. We see only the darkness. We had a shooting here in Orlando, right? A terrible tragedy. And yet, out of that tragedy, a tremendous coming together of the community occurred. There are still signs. It's been several months, but there are signs everywhere for Orlando Strong. Bumper stickers on many cars passing by. Reminders embedded in our community here to remain strong and to be loved. And so it is almost as if many of the tragedies that we face in our lives are serving as a wake-up call. They are inviting us into a deeper exploration of our attachments to the way that we think things should be. And sometimes the only way to arrive at that understanding is to face tragedy, to stand in the middle of the fire and let it burn, to watch as the flames melt you down into something far more malleable than the constricted conceptual notion of self and other, of good and bad, of right and wrong, of all the various dualities that we experience. Love's cleansing fire is an invitation into something deeper than our pain by way of our pain. And if we pay very careful and very close attention to the things that we are meant to learn, then many of the things that we find so very difficult will dissolve of their own accord in a new understanding of things as they are. Love's cleansing fire brings us to that point at which surrender is the only possible outcome that will lead to peace. And I've spent a lot of time talking about surrender and acceptance in other talks on this site and on these videos or in some of my talks. So I'm not going to go into that any further. I'm also going to refer to other talks that I've done before on the nature of the judging mind and the nature of suffering and the nature of difficulty. Different ways to articulate this point. But love's cleansing fire is absolutely, we must come into understanding of its nature. And perhaps I will do another talk on this particular topic all by itself because it is such a difficult one for us to grasp. Such a difficult lesson for the judgmental mind to draw in. And it is also the last thing that most people want to hear, because in our experience of ourselves as individual entities seeking something that we are not, seeking something that will help make us feel whole, we want to hear only those things that are positive and good and make us feel better. that this is not of any real significance or use. It is rather a way to perpetuate the illusion or the various misunderstandings that we bring to our experience of life. And if that is how it is for you, then so be it. There is no judgment here, and there is absolutely nothing wrong or nothing out of alignment with the direction of the life that you have chosen or the direction of the life that is presenting itself through you. You don't have to believe anything I say or carry any of it away with you, only that which resonates. And with that said, I'll move forward into those places where people do start to get a better sense of love, that it starts to feel more true to what most people believe. So the second element here, the second quality of love's true nature, is love's compassionate embrace. One of the things that I love to say about compassion is to explain that compassion is how one who knows and sees holds one who does not. Because when we do not know and we do not see, when we do not have the conscious awareness of what is really true, if we are unable to pierce the veil of our illusions, and we are suffering tremendously, and there is great difficulty in our experience, then something has to be there. Something has to hold us as we encounter these great difficulties. Difficulties within ourselves and difficulties in our experience of the world. Love's compassionate embrace is that quality that we hold ourselves in, that we hold each other in. It's the part of us that looks at the cleansing fire and says, I don't like this. But somehow, somewhere, I see that love is present in it. And the only thing that I can really do, the only thing that I can do is to bring my compassionate heart to the suffering. I can bring the compassionate heart to my confusion. I can bring the compassionate heart to each and every moment of my life, no matter what the context of that moment may be, or the content. It is to have an experience of tremendous suffering, such as the shooting that I was talking about, and to be able to open our heart to the pain and the suffering that we are experiencing inside ourselves and that we are seeing experienced by others, and allowing it all to be there in this space of non-judgmental, loving awareness. It's to give yourself and to give each other a great big hug and say that it's all okay. Feel what you must feel. Do what you must do. Go through what you must go through. Love is inherent in it. It is serving as the invitation into your deeper conscious self. It is helping you let go of all of your views and ideas and opinions and attachments, models and notions and beliefs. It is a shedding, a movement through consciousness that is meant to shed us of all those things that bring us into that suffering state and all of its nuanced variations. The holding it all in the heart of compassion isn't about trying to make sense of it. It's about acknowledging its presence and saying this too, and to hold it in love, to hold it in non-judgmental, loving awareness. That is love's compassionate embrace. When we see ourselves in a moment of judgment, when we see ourselves in a moment of difficulty, to immediately bring ourselves into the space of the heart and to say, okay, yes. To invite it in, to allow it to do its work, and to let it go. Love's compassionate embrace reminds us through things like synchronicity. It reminds us through these miraculous moments that present themselves, these reminders that emerge in the context of our lives that say, I am here. It's this question of which I we then gravitate towards. Love's compassionate embrace is how we meet love's cleansing fire. The two are intrinsically tied together. They're interwoven and inseparable. Because if you see love's cleansing fire, if you say, well, everything is horrible, and you don't bring compassion to it, well, then all you're going to have is anger and resentment. Hatred becomes the fruit at that point. And that is rotten fruit, born of a rotten tree. And even that serves its own purpose and is another invitation into love. Perhaps your anger and your hatred becomes a moment of clarity for someone else. It is as if we are all dominoes lined up together, and when you flick the first one, they all fall down together in unison. Everything is connected to everything else. And one moment of pain and suffering over here can be a moment of beauty and glory and grace over here. Because nothing exists in separation. Nothing exists apart from the whole. So, within love's compassionate embrace, we have the opportunity to meet our pain and suffering with love itself. Now, the third quality of love, as we talk about a truer understanding of what love is love's playful dance. Now, I put this last because it comes as a symptom. It comes as an experience of. It comes as a result of the deep inner work that is done as we begin to cultivate an acceptance and understanding and a willingness to surrender into those things that love's cleansing fire is offering us. And it encompasses all of the loving tenderness and all of the kindness and all of the compassion that we bring to each and every one of those moments. When I talk about love's playful dance, most people hear that and they go, well, that's what I want. How do I get that? And I say, well, become intimate with love's cleansing fire. Become intimate with love's compassionate embrace. That is how you arrive at these things, really and truly and fully, and without any sense of doubt, without hesitation. Love's playful dance is that which is sitting here looking at you and smiling. Love's playful dance is the fact that whenever you listen to one of these videos, or if you meet with me, or if you listen to me speak, I will sit here and laugh and hold each moment in this tender beauty. It is why I often say to people that, to me, wisdom and humor are the same thing. It's an ability to laugh at yourself, to laugh at your circumstances, to laugh at your situation, to see it all from this position that says, well, I can't know, and I will never know, and knowing is not required. Love is ever present in all of it. Just because I don't understand it, or just because I can't see it, doesn't mean it's absent. And because you know that beyond all sense of knowing, because it is absolutely completely 1000% present in your being as your being. You can look life right in the eye and say, hey man, I'm here. Bring it on. Love's playful dance is that part of us that says, okay, well, if it's just this, then I might as well ride the wave of life in whatever direction it moves me. Love is the only thing that I am bringing to this whole experience. The rest of it is taking care of itself. As long as love is present, and it is always present, then there's really nothing to concern myself with, nothing to worry about. Those things, when we find ourselves worried or concerned, we can bring ourselves right back into love's compassionate embrace so that we can encounter that worry, we can encounter that concern from a position of love and allow it to do its work. That in itself is a quality or an expression of love's cleansing fire. I'm worried, I'm concerned. Okay, let's deal with that first. Let's deal with the pain and the suffering that's coming. Oh, it's so heavy and it's so hard and I'm so anxious. Okay, let me hold myself in the heart of compassion. All right, I'm settled enough. Now let me look deeper. What is it that this experience is trying to teach me right now? What am I holding on to? What am I attached to? What am I missing? What am I still confused about? Am I willing to see clearly what is being presented to me in this moment so that I can develop or cultivate a deeper understanding of what's really true rather than continue to attach myself to my conditioned views, beliefs, notions, and ideas? Can I free myself from the confines of the construct and welcome the fullness of my experience? Love's playful dance is it's the knowing itself. It's the knowing itself. I've had people tell me that I'll be sitting in a group and we'll be talking collectively amongst ourselves, and I'll issue 3 or 4 words to kind of help resolve this or resolve that. And I've had people tell me in the past, it's like, well, you sit in the room and it's like you have this sense, like you have this great secret. And you're smiling the whole time. And so people think, that guy's kind of a dick. I mean, here I am struggling, and he thinks it's funny, which of course I don't. I don't see anyone suffering as funny. My goodness gracious, no. What I'm laughing at is the fact that, or what I'm smiling about is that, there is not really a whole lot that I have not encountered within myself. And so when I watch another encounter it within themselves and I watch them struggle with it, my smile is a smile of reassurance. It is, and the look of having this great secret behind these eyes is simply an invitation to say, hey man, you're right. That sucks. That's really heavy. That's really hard. Do you want to know how to get out of it? Are you ready to really move into this place of deeper acceptance and understanding within yourself that will allow you to have the same smile on your face, to have that same, the same embers behind your eyes glowing with this beauty and with this wonder and with this curiosity that is born of not knowing? Of allowing love to move as love moves, and to know that the intelligence of love is far greater than anything that your mind is capable of. Love's playful dance is that quality of childlike wonder that we bring to each new moment. Because when we're no longer trying to fill our sense of, that something is missing, when we're no longer so dedicated to trying to fix ourselves and fix others and fix the world, we are left in this place where we go, ah, and everything is new and fresh all the time, continually renewing itself. Love's playful dance is like a child in a sandbox. Love's playful dance is going and swimming in the ocean. Love's playful dance is sitting with friends and having a glass of wine and laughing together. Love's playful dance is recognizing how beautiful love is in every direction that it moves. And since love is the essence of all that is, it is everywhere. It is in everything. Love's playful dance is a result of this understanding. So these three qualities, love's cleansing fire, love's compassionate embrace, and love's playful dance, they go together, they fit together like puzzle pieces. There is no puzzle. But when all three are present and seen clearly, when all three qualities are acknowledged as equally beautiful, as equally necessary, as equally mysterious, and as equally inviting, something in our experience shifts. And what is that? That is love. That is love. Until next time, my friends, I love you. Namaste. God bless and take care.